The rain outside tapped softly against the window pane as Ethan Morris sat alone in his living room, a warm cup of herbal tea cradled between his palms. The TV was off, the lights were dimmed, and the world seemed to be moving in slow motion. But inside his head, it was anything but quiet. His thoughts raced, endlessly, uncontrollably. Regrets, worries, fears about the future, questions with no answers. Ethan was exhausted, not from physical labor or a long day at the office, but from the relentless storm within his own mind. It had been years since he truly felt peace, and no amount of meditation apps or motivational podcasts seemed to help. "You think too much," his sister Megan once told him. "You're your own worst enemy." At the time, he laughed it off. But deep down, he knew she was right. Ethan was 38 years old, a software engineer, and someone who once prided himself on logic, control, and planning. But over the past few years, life had chipped away at that confidence. A failed relationship, losing his father, getting laid off during the pandemic, all these events had left invisible scars. They weren't visible to the world, but inside, they bled endlessly through his thoughts. It was on a particularly sleepless night that Ethan stumbled across something that would change everything. He was scrolling through a forum, one of those low-traffic, honest communities where people spoke more like real humans and less like internet philosophers. One post caught his eye. It read, "Want to stop your thoughts from controlling you? Try this trick. It's not a hack. It's not a pill. It's just a pattern interrupt." Intrigued, Ethan clicked. The post went on to explain something strange and simple. A user named MindPilot93 wrote about a technique where every time you had a thought that spiraled into negativity or obsession, you simply had to say out loud, or in your mind, with intention, "That's not me. That's just a thought." At first glance, it sounded almost silly, but Ethan was desperate enough to try anything. That night, when a familiar loop began, "What if I mess up that meeting tomorrow? What if they think I'm not good enough?" He interrupted it. "That's not me," he whispered, almost mockingly. "That's just a thought." There was a strange pause, a moment of disconnect. And for the first time in weeks, the thought didn't snowball into an avalanche of panic. It fizzled, just a little. Curious, Ethan began to practice this daily. Each time a self-deprecating thought appeared, "You're not successful," or "You'll always be alone," he interrupted it with the same phrase. "That's not me. That's just a thought." Within days, he noticed a shift. His brain, like a restless child, began to quiet down. The technique wasn't erasing the thoughts completely, but it was making him separate from them. The breakthrough came when he visited an old friend, Dr. Lily Carter, a psychologist based in Seattle. Ethan hadn't seen her in years, but he knew if anyone could validate his experience, it was Lily. Over coffee, he shared what he'd been practicing. Lily nodded with a smile. "What you've discovered is actually grounded in cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness. It's called cognitive diffusion. The idea is to create distance between yourself and your thoughts." "So, it's legit?" Ethan asked, relieved. "More than legit," she said. "When you say, 'That's not me, that's just a thought,' you're reminding your brain that you are not your thoughts. You're the observer. And the observer has the power to choose what to believe." Ethan left the cafe feeling more empowered than ever. It wasn't a magic cure, but it was a tool, a powerful one. He began keeping a journal, recording intrusive thoughts and tagging them with a label, "Just a thought." It became a habit. He'd write, "What if I never find love again? Just a thought. I should have done better in that presentation. Just a thought." Soon, a pattern emerged. These thoughts, so loud and convincing at first, were nothing more than temporary weather systems passing through his mental sky. He didn't have to engage with them. He didn't have to believe them. Months passed. Ethan's coworkers noticed a change. He was calmer, more present. He even began mentoring younger engineers, offering not just technical advice, but emotional insight. "You've really changed, man," his colleague Marcus told him one day after work. "I just learned to talk back to my brain," Ethan said with a laugh. The turning point came during an important pitch meeting. Ethan was presenting a new app concept to potential investors. 10 minutes before the call, the old voice crept in. You're going to blow this. They'll see through you. But instead of spiraling, Ethan smiled and whispered, That's not me. That's just a thought. He gave the presentation. He was confident, clear, and authentic. The app got funded. But more than that, Ethan realized he had gained something even more valuable: agency. He wasn't a slave to his thoughts anymore. Inspired, Ethan began blogging about his journey. His posts, written simply and vulnerably, began attracting attention. People messaged him, thanking him for his honesty. A single parent struggling with anxiety, a student crippled by perfectionism, a retired veteran haunted by guilt. They all found solace in the trick. One day, Ethan received a handwritten letter in the mail. It was from a teenager named Grace in Ohio. Dear Ethan, I read your article about controlling thoughts. I tried your trick and it helped me stop hurting myself. I just wanted to say thank you. I thought I was broken, but now I think I'm just human. Love, Grace. Ethan wept when he read it. Not because he was sad, but because he finally understood the power of awareness. And he was grateful he had stumbled upon it in his darkest hour. He continued learning. He explored deeper teachings, stoicism, acceptance and commitment therapy, even Buddhist meditation. But he always returned to that one foundational principle. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. Ethan's trick wasn't a trick at all. It was a shift in identity. He began sharing it on social media, recording short, calm videos. Feeling overwhelmed? Say this with me. That's not me. That's just a thought. Afraid of the future? Pause and say, that's just a thought passing through. The videos went viral, but Ethan never let it get to his head. He knew fame wasn't the goal, clarity was. One evening, while sitting on the same couch, rain falling softly outside, Ethan looked back at his journal. He flipped to an early entry. I'm a failure. Just a thought. He smiled. And then he wrote a new entry. I'm at peace. Just a moment. He closed the journal, took a sip of tea, and let the silence wash over him. Not a silence born of absence, but one born of awareness.